Welcome back, Thrivers. We have a special guest today coming to us from Arlington, Texas. She has so much going on in her life. And so, this cowgirl that we're going to talk to today has lots of advice to share, a really cool career journey. And she is a self proclaimed cowgirl. And also, she has been publicly noted as a cowgirl 30 under 30. So, Desiree Heath-Mills, we are so excited to have you today. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to share a little bit about your career and what you're doing.
Of course. No, thank you so much for having me. It's truly an honor.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun conversation. And so we're going to just get right to it. And I like to start with, I said you're in Arlington, but you are born and raised Texan, as you say, El Paso born and Del Rio raised. So how long have you been either a crazy horse girl or a horse crazy girl?
I have been a horse crazy girl my whole life. My parents are pretty much sure that I came out of the womb just horse crazy. We can narrow it down to when I was younger and just seeing horses in media and, thinking they were just the most beautiful things on this earth. That extends to all equids, so zebras and the like. But I've been a horse crazy girl ever since. I've just been without a horse. I would always beg my parents to have a horse in our backyard. We have a big enough backyard, we can have a horse. And they're like, no, we can't do that. So I had to settle for, stuffed animals and just being around horses as much as I possibly could, whether that was trail rides or anything like that. It really grew when I went to college at Texas A&M, though.
And that was my next question, right, Desiree? So I do want to share that that's the story for so many. And one of the reasons behind this podcast is to share. If you have a love for horses, doesn't matter if you grew up a cowgirl, if you grew up a hunter jumper and were able to have lessons and ride, it doesn't matter, right? Some of us don't have that opportunity, but it doesn't mean we can't work in this industry and pursue our passions. So that led you to Texas A&M. And did you know you wanted to go to A&M? And when you went there, like, what's your major? How'd you get there? Tell us more.
Sure. So I have an older sister. She's about 10 years older than I am, and she went to Texas A&M to study veterinary science. We always had the plan of we were both going to be veterinarians because that was the only role that you really saw yourself. If you're going to work with horses, it's either horse trainer or veterinarian. And I knew well enough not to be a trainer. Just I don't have that skill set, but I started down the path of veterinary medicine and went to Texas A&M just to follow my sister. Really, there was really no other choice for me in my mind. And it just seemed like the best overall fit for me personally, professionally. It just seemed like it was the way to go. And A&M really helped me grow and show me that there's way more in the industry to do than veterinary medicine or horse trainer. There's a wide variety of roles that come with that field. So I'm very grateful for my time at A&M.
Yeah. And so you got involved in multiple organizations that, in addition to your academic career, the extracurricular activities that you were involved in, right?
Definitely, yes. As soon as I got to A&M, I took every horse course I possibly could, every research project I could latch myself onto. I was on the Horsemen's Association, anything that had to do with horses, I was there. So, like I said, I was that horse crazy girl, and I was not going to be denied the time with the horses. I was going to learn as much as I possibly could and figure out my role, figure out my space in that sphere.
So does that then carry into this internship that has become your career? Right? I feel like you did an internship, which I love to talk about your internships, so let's talk about that. But you did an internship and have never left.
Definitely. Yes. So that was a crazy coincidental happening. I had applied for an internship at APHA the year prior, and the timing just didn't work out.
Okay, so let's
And
tell our listeners what APHA is, just to make sure everybody
for
knows.
sure, yes, the American Paint Horse Association here
Perfect.
in, well, I'm in Arlington, but it's in Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay.
Yes. And so I had applied for an internship at APHA the year prior, but timing just didn't work out. I was working on my master's degree, trying to, get some more business acumen under my belt, things like that. And they reached out to me. They kept my materials on file and reached out to me a year later asking if I would like to come on or, interview as the marketing intern. I said, of course, I just finished 2 internships already. What's one more? Let's go for it. And I knew this was where I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to be in marketing events in the horse sphere, the equine sphere. So it was just the perfect fit. And through my internship, made so many valuable contacts, valuable networking opportunities. It was just everything I could have dreamed of and more. And I did my job well enough that they kept me on full time as the marketing coordinator. And I've since grown to be the communications and marketing specialist.
Yeah, I mean, just an incredible journey that you've had since graduated, right? So this first decade of your professional life, you achieved multiple internships, you have gone on to get multiple promotions within your job, and I think that just really speaks to the passion that you have for what you learned that you love to do. Right. And I just love that you talk about, we all think that we can be a veterinarian or a horse trainer, and then all of a sudden the barn doors get swung wide open and we're like, oh my gosh, I can do what do you do? You work for the American Paint Horse Association, you do marketing. I never even dreamt of that. And so, as you learn those things, talk to us, Desiree, about the importance of those internships. And I heard you mention the contacts that you built while you were there.
Of course, I love to impress upon anyone who asks me about internships. It shows you what you like in a role and equally what you don't like. You have kind of a little brief view into this realm, and okay, this is something I would love to grow in. This is something that I have the skills for, but it doesn't really mesh with who I am. You learn more about yourself and how you can grow professionally as well as personally, I feel.
Yeah.
It's just a great overall learning experience. Helps you get new skills, get your foot in the door. You know, if you're doing your job well, people are going to remember you.
Yes.
You want people to remember you in a positive way. You don't want to leave a bad taste in anyone's mouth.
Right? Word travels quickly. You want to be memorable for all the right reasons.
Exactly.
So, speaking of being memorable to the APHA, the American Paint Horse Association, let's tell our listeners a little bit more about that organization. So, start out and give us like the 30,000-foot view, and then let's talk a little bit more about what you do.
Of course. So, the American Paint Horse Association, we were founded in 1962 by Rebecca Tyler Lockhart and, some paint horse enthusiasts. At the time, paint horses weren't able to be registered. Just color wasn't allowed with the American Quarter Horse Association. And Rebecca Tyler Lockhart would not be denied. She's like, these are beautiful horses. They deserve their recognition and we're going to create a space for them. It doesn't exist, but we're going to create a space for them. And from there, created a breed registry. It has since evolved. We've registered over 1 million horses,
Wow.
and it's just grown significantly. It used to be just on the phenotype, on the color of the horses, how they express the white and things like that. Now we've since expanded to genetics. We can see the genetics of where the horses are going to throw that color, how they're going to throw that color, things like that. So it's very fascinating the journey that we've been on. And I'm so grateful for my part in it. As the communications and marketing specialist, it's a very nice term for a lot of the things I do.
Yes.
I am kind of in between the performance or our competition sphere, our business development, and our marketing sphere.
Okay.
So kind of bridging the gap between those three, making sure that, the communication is fulfilled, that it's a seamless pass of, all of the pieces that need to go out there, whether it's our information, sponsor information, advertisers, the like.
And so let's talk a little bit about the Chrome magazine and the success you've had with that. Because, first of all, any of us that like a little chrome on our horses love the title of your magazine. So tell us a little bit about that. And you, I think, kind of led the charge on just growing that effort.
Yes. So Chrome is very near and dear to my heart, as well as the Paint Horse Journal. There are two publications. Paint Horse Journal is our flagship publication. That's what we call our nuts and bolts, really into the industry for the breeding, the showing, anything having to do with paint horses. Chrome is our Western lifestyle publication, and it's a unique publication for a breed registry. It was something that hadn't been done before, and it just kind of blew open those doors. It kind of gave us a new sphere to enter into where the horse is the underlying tie, but it's not the overt theme. We're really highlighting how the paint horse fits into the Western lifestyle and how, you know, just there's so much to the Western lifestyle, whether it's the food you eat, the drinks you drink, the clothes you wear, the jewelry you wear, the places you go, the people you see. There's so much in the Western lifestyle, and it's such a fascinating publication. I'm so grateful to have worked on it, worked with it, and I serve as our key sales rep for that publication, really using my relationships, as it were, to find a way to incorporate that Western lifestyle throughout all we do.
Yeah, it's so incredible. And I know the growth that you've seen because I think that growth comes from the passion that you have in it. So, what a perfect transition to talk about the cowgirl, right? Like, I think that 2024 has been declared the year of the cowgirl.
It
And
has.
here you are. You are also named as a cowgirl 30 under 30, which I have to say to my listeners, I did not know that whenever I reached out and booked you. I wasn't doing it because of that, but they've heard me now interview a couple of you that are in the Cowgirl 30 under 30 class, either now or previously. And I just think that speaks to, again, the quality of the guests that I've gotten blessed to have and the leadership that you are providing in the industry, right? So tell our listeners a little bit more about your Cowgirl 30 under 30 title.
Of course. It was such an honor to be selected for that recognition. It was very affirming to me. It was something that I questioned myself a lot on. Should I apply? Do I really fit the role of cowgirl? You know, I think when we think of cowgirl, we have this particular image in our minds, and we all kind of have that imposter syndrome of, I don't fit that mold. But the beautiful thing about being a cowgirl is you're supposed to be breaking the mold. You are blazing a trail, your own trail. You are bringing something else to the table that nobody else has. And that was something that through my time with the classmates that I met at the Cowgirl 30 under 30 and the classmates that I've since made, we've all kind of just been giving each other that boost of like, you're bringing something your own to the table.
Yeah.
You are as deserving of this title as anyone else. It's more of a state of mind as opposed to, you wear the hat, you're riding the horse, you're, herding the cattle, things like that. You are doing more in your own way. Whether you're a keyboard cowgirl, concrete cowgirl, however you want to call it, you are, with that grit and determination, blazing your own trail.
Oh, so well said, Desiree. That's why I really wanted your take on that because I am going to be the first to say, hey, you don't have to be from Texas to be a cowgirl. I recently attended the Ag Women Connect conference in Fort Worth. And, that was, again, a lot of what you're saying is much the theme is and I just love, I have not heard keyboard cowgirl yet. Concrete cowgirl, keyboard cowgirl. It doesn't matter. Wear the hat, don't wear the hat. Wear the boots, ride the horse, don't wear the boots, don't ride the horse. You know, English, Western, somewhere in between. It is the state of mind, right? That we are out here blazing trails. We are out here with open arms trying to usher the next generation in and show them all of this opportunity and how to be a part of something bigger than ourselves, right? There's just so much to it. So just so beautifully said. And again, huge congratulations. That's, you know, I know that that is an honor to receive the Cowgirl 30 Under 30 title, and you are in amazing company in that group, right?
Yes, definitely. I mean, my own classmates, the classes that came before me, the classes that have since come after, it's just an amazing group of women that I feel so honored to be connected to and know. It's kind of like Aaron DeLong says from Durango, iron sharpens iron. And I truly believe that, we're all making each other stronger by being connected this way.
Yes, without a doubt. And so that leads us into a little bit of your advice. I always ask my guests to share some advice. And I think about that, Desiree, sometimes just from the perspective of advice to yourself, your college self, right? Advice to yourself a couple years ago, and, you know, how you would share with others as you are thriving out here as a cowgirl. But you talk about the balance of being a cowgirl, setting boundaries, self-awareness, and you talk about being a recovering people pleaser. So let's talk about some of that advice from your perspective.
Of course, I feel like everyone has to learn this in their own way. Hopefully they don't learn it the hard way. I think we all have, like I said, with the state of the cowgirl, we also have a plan in our mind of how things are going to go. It has to go A, B, C. Plan A has to work out. If it doesn't, we freak out. And so giving yourself that grace and knowing, okay, I did this, it didn't quite work out how I wanted it to. How am I going to move forward? Am I going to move forward with this, or am I going to try something different? So I think that's definitely where self-awareness comes in, recognizing your own limitations. We all have limitations, whether it be time or energy, but how are you going to acknowledge that and move forward? So recognizing that about yourself, as well as, the people pleasing tendencies. I used to be just sole yes woman. Like anything you gave me, yes, yes, I can do it. And then I found that I was not only filling one plate, I was going back for seconds and burning myself out. And that wasn't helping the work that I was trying to accomplish, as well as, me personally. I felt like I was falling behind in certain areas, in all areas. And I needed to meet that with grace, recognize that this was a tendency that I had. How was I going to scale back, but still put forward the best effort, best work that I possibly could, and keep that going, keep that reputation of mine thriving, so to
Right.
speak.
Yeah, and that's the hard part, right? We are, you know, when we get into that people pleasing stage, and it happens a lot of times early in our career. If we are hard drivers, you know, we want to build our name and our brand. And just like you say, there comes a time when you're able to start to say, okay, this isn't going to work. This is the direction I can put more effort to, and here are some of those boundaries. One of the things I talk about, Desiree, when you're setting those boundaries is I think it's also important to A, you know, kind of collaborate with your trusted advisors, and B, there are some boundaries that are going to be set in sand and some that should be set in a stone wall,
Yep,
right? And
definitely.
so really just kind of it's a constant evolution. To your point, it doesn't, you know, like it's a journey and it all just happens and continues to happen. So I just think that's really great advice as we talk about, you know, our determination as cowgirls of any kind and any type. You mentioned the word grit, which I think is super important, right? Passion, perseverance, and grit, and just knowing that It's a balance.
Yes, yes. We're as I think the beautiful thing with us being cowgirls, we bring that femininity to, the sphere where we have that grit, we have that determination. But, like a pearl, give yourself some grace. Okay, the grit has polished you, you're good. Give yourself some grace. Let yourself temper it with grace.
Yeah. Amen. Such great advice. The other piece of advice that I'm anxious to hear about, and again, our listeners know that I talk about connections and relationships all the time, but you put it into the words of the art of relationships and collaboration. So I just love that because I love to talk about the importance of collaboration in a world that's driving independence. And so you tell us why you phrase it the art of relationships and collaboration.
I truly see it as an art. I don't see it as an exact science. You can't treat every relationship the exact same. People are different. We're all different. We all have different motivations, different skills, different everything. And so when we try to balance that, we're, treating every relationship as its own unique relationship. And how can we work together? How can we balance what we're doing? How can we collaborate? For example, with my 30 under 30 classmates, we're all in different areas of the agricultural industry. Most of us are, equine girls, but there's some, in beef and, just all the wide gambit of agriculture. And how can we work together to elevate our industry to its fullest potential? How can we work together to promote initiatives that we have going on, whether it be the Cowgirl Gathering, the Red Steagle Cowboy Gathering, things of the like? How can we lift each other up without, I feel like there's so much competition in the world that
Yes.
when we work together, we're actually stronger. We don't need to compete against each other.
Yeah.
It's shifted. And I love that because working together just seems like the natural thing to do. Whether it's professionally, personally, how can we work together? How can we
Yes.
collaborate and be the strongest we possibly can?
Oh, I agree. And I talk a lot about that when I speak about communication, and it really requires us to define our roles, right? And so the roles in our lives, you are a marketing professional with APHA. You're also a wife, you're a dog mom, right? And whatever other roles you have, that is where we need to remember that in order for those roles really to serve us and for us to serve our best and be our best, we have to understand that they are driven by connection. And our ability to communicate, connect, collaborate is what is going to bring us satisfaction, which brings us success. So, yeah, I think you're just, you speak so much wisdom at such a young age in your professional career that it's really refreshing. So I love that. Now, speaking of roles, you also do some volunteering or you have another role with Tarleton. You went to A&M, but now you do some work with Tarleton that's really focused on the next generation. What are you doing?
So I serve as a mock interviewer for the Tarleton Agricultural Sciences program, specifically with animal science, but wherever they need me, whenever the call goes out about, you know, we have these students that need to be interviewed, they need to gain those skills and get comfortable being interviewed. Um, I just jump at it. Anytime they need me, I am there. So I just love helping students and young professionals grow however I can using my experience. Hopefully they glean something that helps them in their professional career.
Yeah. Are you a tough interviewer, Desiree, or are you a little bit soft?
Uh, I like to throw some curveballs. I like to throw them some questions that, they're probably expecting, but throw them with a little bit of a curve. I like to see the wheels kind of turning, let that self-awareness kind of shine. I don't know that I would say I'm a tough interviewer. I'm more about like, okay, it's okay. That's a good, that's a good way to come about it. And then we focus on how can they do better
Right.
later on.
Yes. The teaching that comes with that mock interview opportunity. And
Yes.
yeah, I love that. We have some similar passions there. And some people would say that I don't think they would say I'm tough as much as they would say I can be intimidating. Right. And I'm like, well, that's what you're going to be nervous going into this to begin with. So let's get some experience of how you're going to handle someone who is intimidating.
Yeah, this is like the perfect opportunity for you to practice
Yes.
and, get comfortable. I mean, I've had so many interviewees where, you know, everybody can tell when you're nervous or things like that, but it's okay. This is practice. This is what it's there for.
Right.
How we can get better.
Yes.
Practice makes perfect.
Practice makes perfect. And it's progress over perfection, right? Just keep going, keep going. So, well, awesome. There are a couple of questions that I have for you, but one of them that I don't want to forget is you know that I love LinkedIn. And so, of course, we're connected now on LinkedIn. And I encourage all of our listeners, they get tired of hearing that from me. If you're not on LinkedIn and you want an industry career, you need to be on LinkedIn. And you can connect with both of us. But one of your headline statements is that you are always hashtag, it's hashtag always working, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Explain this. I thought that was fantastic.
So I with my marketing brain, I have a knack for just morphing words together. Intern interview becomes intern view. Working actually came out of one of those intern views. I was trying to say, I'm always working, always marketing, and I morphed it together with always working. And it was one of those funny, like random coincidences, but it kind of fits.
Yes.
I was sitting with my supervisor boss at the time, Kristen Connor, and we were just laughing about that. And I'm like, but it actually works. I am always working. I'm always thinking of, you know, a marketing idea will pop into my brain and it's like, oh, how can I use that for work? Or how can I use that in some other area of my life?
Right.
I'm always thinking of the connections and where it's going to go and how it's going to work.
Yeah.
So always working came from that.
I love that. And I wanted to make sure that we shared that because I love those random words as well. So that was my favorite. Now, every guest this year, I've been asking a couple of questions, Desiree. And so the first one that I want to ask you is there a specific book or a podcast that you would recommend to our listeners? And if so, why?
I when you sent me this question before, I was thinking, oh, I have so many off the top of my head. How am I going to narrow it down? I am currently reading, I'm going to go with a book and a podcast.
Okay, good.
Currently reading, it's actually right next to me. It's called Think Like a Horse by Grant Gallagher.
Okay.
And I'll just show it on the screen right here. And I'm still reading it, but what I've read so far, it just seems to resonate with how working with horses equates to working with people, how you can use those lessons of working with horses and translate it into your business, into wherever you go dealing with people. So that's one book I like to call out.
I love that because I always have to stop and say it's all the business of people. Nobody got into veterinary medicine or even horse training because they love people. They got into it because they love horses or animals, right? And I don't care what we do, it's all about the business of people. And we have to bring some of that back. You've talked so much about that communication, connection, collaboration. So think like a horse. I just love your comments on that about how applicable it is to take our love and passion for equine and translate that to the fact that we are going to deal with people all day, every day.
Yes, yes. And as far as podcast goes, of course, I've got to shout out the Thriving Equine Professional. Another podcast I have to shout out is Climbing with Coach Kaya.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
that I love listening to Kaya talk about life, work, being graceful with yourself. A lot of what I espouse has, come from my listening with her. And I'm so grateful to have her as a Cowgirl 30 Under 30 classmate. And it's just fascinating to hear her voice, but also hear the lessons that she's espousing. It's such a fun ride. She keeps it fun. She keeps it real, and I love it.
That's incredible. I'm glad of the reminder, Desiree, because I have not listened to that in a while, I will admit. And so I need to bump that back up on my list. So, yeah, climbing with Coach Kaya, definitely a shout out to that one for all of our listeners. That's a good one. Thank you.
Yes, yes, it's one of those that I don't know how she does it. It's probably like, we're all going through a similar thing at that time. And she'll say it, hit the nail right on the head. And I'm like, thank you, Kaya. That's exactly what I needed to hear today. I needed a little
Yes.
reminder for myself.
Right, right. Awesome. And so the second question that I love to ask, now you've spoken to this already a little bit when you talked about the balance of being a cowgirl, but just in the face of today's hustle culture, I love to share because you are a few years ahead of many of our listeners, right? You are fresh out of undergrad and a master's program. You're in your first decade of your big girl job, as I call it, and you are thriving. You're a wife. You were married just 3 or 4 years ago, right?
Yes.
And a dog mom. You should tell us more about your family at home, your dogs and your husband. But one piece of advice related to life balance that you might share with our listeners, Desiree, in this stage of your life.
Yes. I'll say any advice I give, it's something that I'm currently trying to employ myself.
Yeah.
It's a constant battle. I think we all kind of slip in and out of, okay, go, go, go. And then, whoa, I've got to slow down. My body needs time to rest. So, with that, I've learned that setting boundaries is so, so important. What I used to be the kind that I would check my email, oh, I'm awake at 9 p.m. I'll check my email really quick to see what's gonna
Yeah.
happen tomorrow. Someone sends me a message about work, I respond right away. It's no big deal. But those little instances really built up.
Yep.
And I could see that my life was just kind of flipping over. And I didn't want that. I wanted to, be able to have my work. I'm very passionate about it, yes.
Yeah.
But also, I need time to fill my cup and recharge. I like to say I'm an extroverted introvert.
Yes.
Uh, so I can be so extroverted. I can, make those connections, go out there and, talk with the best of them. But I need that time to recharge in order to be the best extrovert I can be.
Yeah.
I know that I need to read a book. I need this hour to read my book, or I need this hour to talk to a family friend, a member of my family, hang out with my family, anything like that. I needed that time to recharge. And so I've been much, much better. This is part of the recovering people pleaser in me.
Right.
I'm much better about, okay, no, these are my work hours. I I will handle whatever fire comes tomorrow.
Yes.
It's a constant battle of the wills with myself, kind of like the two wolves fighting in you, like, no, we need to get this done. No, we need to charge. So it's a constant battle, but it's one of those that I have to remind myself, like, if I don't take this time, my body is going to take it for me, and it's going to be at the most inconvenient time.
Right.
So I need to make sure that I am taking this time now
Yeah.
so I don't get sick and have it fall later.
Right. I can't be my best self if I'm not my best self.
Exactly.
Yeah, kind of deal. Oh, so good. Such great advice. Desiree, I mean, what a delight. And do you have anything else that you would love to share with our listeners? And I just remind you, like, think back to your 5 year ago self or whoever it is. And what are your final words or thoughts that you would share?
I would say I would like to call back to like talking to my 5 year self or 10 year self, however long, college self, if you will.
Yes.
I remember having those people that would say, you're not going to make it. You're not going to do this because you can't do X, Y, and Z. You're not going to make it in this industry because you don't know so and so and so and so. And really feeling that imposter syndrome, like whenever I did start progressing in my career, like, well, they said way back when that I wouldn't make it if I didn't know this. So, like, how am I progressing? And that doubt just settling in and having to battle that. and just recognizing with myself that there are so many other paths. There's so many other paths that people can take, so many trails that can be blazed. It doesn't have to be this way because someone said it way back when. Uh,
Yes.
you can do what you want to do and be successful at it without, I mean, yes, listen to advice, listen to your mentors, listen to, those that you hold dear, but take it with a grain of salt. You kind of know yourself and know what is going to work for you and kind of take it from there. If there's not a trail there, you can blaze a new one.
Mm,
Um, so I, would just tell my younger self, like, okay, hear those naysayers and then move on,
move on.
log that away, whether it was coming from a place of love or somewhere else, you know, hear it, take it with a grain of salt, yourself, move on.
So wise. It really is, because it's easier said than done, right? We're
Definitely.
all going to go through that, and it is easier said than done. It's the importance there, Desiree, of surrounding ourselves with, especially as women, other women who are doing big things, right? Find your tribe, find your trusted advisors, your mentors, put yourself around women who are ahead of you, whether that's in age or in their career journey, whatever it is, and really just challenge yourself to always be in a room full of women smarter than you are.
That's how you're going to grow.
Yep. So, so good. I appreciate you so much, as I know that our listeners do as well. And so let's make sure that our listeners can find you. I've already mentioned you are on LinkedIn, Desiree Heath-Mills. You are a mutual connection of mine, so they should be able to easily find you there. And then give a shout out to some of the other places you would direct them, websites for APHA or any other contacts.
For sure. So my email with APHA would be dmills@apha.com. Of course, apha.com would be APHA's website. Anything you want to know about the association, that's the place to go. Tells you everything that you need to know, and you know how to contact me for more information. And then, of course, Tarleton's ag program, I sent you that website.
Yeah.
However people want to get connected in the industry. Like I said, there's so many ways that we can get connected, and
Perfect.
I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I'll share all those in the show notes so that you can connect with Desiree. But thank you so much for being part of the Thriving Equine Professional. This episode has been just tremendous, and you are truly an example of a thriving equine professional. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Jodi. I really appreciate you having me.
So excited. And Thrivers, thanks for hanging in with us today. And I will see you back here same time next week. Cheers.
Bye.